Many people do not know that actually the entrance of Esplanade is at the forecourt. So once the forecourt doors open, you see the concourse that is smack right in the middle of the concert hall and the theatre. So when people come through the entrance of Esplanade, they encounter a visual artwork. It's very important for us to create a range of different kinds of experiences for our visitors here. Whether it's ranging from performing arts or visual arts, to get different variety in, because we know that our visitors come from different backgrounds. It makes sense for Esplanade as a performing arts center to feature visual arts as well, where the public can come and then they can also encounter art simultaneously.
Once Esplanade invited me for this project, I totally have no idea about visually. I have no idea what the world is going to look like. I just started from the material first, rather than the concept behind.
We had this conversation of how we could use materials to visualize something that's very intangible, like air and breath, as movements in a space. I'm more intrigued by how things move in spaces, and then what are the things that cause movement in space? Is it the wind that's causing movement? Is it human presence that makes things move in a space?
因为空气看不到，我可能要讲感受到，所以这个只是一个很模糊的一个概念，在那个空间里面要怎样去做，其实没有一个很清楚的一个构思。
One thought we had is that it's like a backstage of the performance area. In one of our earlier conversations, we had this idea of 歌台. There's always a backstage to the 歌台. In the old days, 歌台 was all set up with canvases, with the red and white canvases. Things that are happening in the backstage is seldom seen in the foreground, especially performances. It's almost as if you're seeing what's happening behind the scenes from the outside, because you're always looking at the shadows. There'll be actors inside, they'll be lit by light. You can't quite see exactly what's behind the shadow, but yet you can see a silhouette. And the silhouette brings forth certain ideas, certain memories of certain spaces.
那这个帆布在可能70、80年代的时候，在建筑工地、电屋里面常常用到的遮阳的或者遮盖的一个材料来的。这个帆布是轻的，所以它跟空气跟流动会比较容易去处理，而且它透光，它是一个很普通的材料，它不是所谓的艺术作品里面常常用到的材料。
In Chinese, we like to say this: 台上1分钟，台下10年功. You don't see the hard work that happens behind. And then we had this thought about how construction is always happening in the background, and how that brings into this backstage of the whole idea of progress in Singapore.
We will usually work with the curator, the programmer, and the artist as well, in terms of installation plans, the feasibility of it, to see if the blueprint printed by the artist is feasible and it can kind of manifest itself in a physical form.
Planning takes place as far as 3 to half a year ahead. This is where all the crucial information flows in. Getting the artwork ready, is there fabrication that's needed, coordinating between contractors, our internal crew, and to bring the setup to fruition.
But then reality will always hit us with a different picture, right, when we actually make the work. If you're making a work for 6 months, right, that means you need 6 months to test the work in a space that is so vast, so wide, and such a big space. A lot of times it's more about experience and about having a second pair of eyes to catch possible issues before they happen. So I'm really glad for Mr. Lim's advice on what kind of material we could use and sorts of fastening methods we can take on to solve certain issues. You learn that materials will always exceed your expectations of them, and then they will betray you at the worst moments.
The works are all commissioned at the Esplanade Concourse. In particular, they are commissioned because the site is unusual. You have all these uneven staircases. You have these very, very high ceilings. You have a lot of things that surrounding the uneven steps. So artists actually need to be thinking about being site-specific when they're thinking about projects at the concourse?
The concourse as a visual space, I think the unique points will be there's a certain depth to it and to be viewed from all angles, and we have an immense height, and there's a grid on top that we can hang anything. The steps itself is challenging to work with because it's something that is not flat. They need their artwork to be grounded properly, then we will have to find a way to fabricate flat platform on the step itself.
The issue with working with big spaces, right, is that we are always often in the studio making smaller objects. But when we move a work from like a 4 meter by 4 meter space into like a space like a concourse, which is like 20 meters by 20 meters, the whole sense of scale, right, is skewed. We can't imagine ourselves in that space. So we came up with these two ideas of having a tower that filled half the space and then things that went around this tower.
So the challenging thing was that we couldn't put up the whole 4-meter structure due to the space constraint. The way he had fabricated the structure, he has to sit on the pedestal. You have to find something to kind of be an alternative to the pedestal because we couldn't test on site. So what Yang Jie did was he split the structure in half. He tested the top structure and then he tested the bottom structure.
You can never expect what is going up and how is it being set up. During the curation, they will have to think about how big in scale the artwork is and is it appropriate and does it fit into the venue itself. Like for example, Joko, he has his bamboos and rattans that goes all the way up to the ceiling. And of course, we would have a space constraint for that. And yet we have to make it safe for the public.
I can think of so many visual art exhibitions that has been great. Visual artists think of ways that they can interact with the space. So all the work are commissioned and are very unique because they're site-specific. So for example, Ms. Han Sai-po, where she had a lot of metal pieces glistening with light. She's known for her work mainly in stone sculpture, but she made little bits of very pliable stainless steel with wire meshes for SG50.
It was quite important for us to have interactions with the Esplanade VA team to have a sense of what do the outsiders see and what are the sense they feel when they look at the work like this. And I think it's through this process of conversation, creating prototypes, creating different things that we throw an idea at the curator and the curator has a thought. Oh no, what is this thing?
This specific artwork, it's a bit unconventional. The tarp in itself, people wouldn't expect it to be an artwork. That in itself is quite inviting to people, to encourage them to view the work and then also read up on the synopsis. I think when everything is up and running, you get to get out of the headspace of always wanting to finish up the exhibition. You get to take a step back and you kind of just get to see the artist's vision come to life. I think it's very rewarding.
When you get to see public interact with the artwork, if there's any interactivity, and a smile when they take a photo, all this is something that you will feel when you see that it's working.
Visitors, when they come into the center, they will see this spectacular piece of art that will remind them that it's an art center.
We want to have a conversation with the audience about the memories that they leave behind and the memories they want to bring forward to the future.